All right.
Hey you guys, how you doing? This is Brittany again, your favorite nurse, and I have Sharday Kelly with me today. I am going to be interviewing her. Right now we're just going to let the music ride out and let you guys, get on here. You can definitely ask questions during the interview. We're going to hold them for the end, but ask questions, as many questions as you want. This type of interview I would love for as many nursing students or people who want to be nurses, CNAs, just anybody who inspires to want to do more when it comes to school, getting into school, getting a higher level of education. Even Sharday's gotten into the community, just all kinds of things. Just watch, listen, and I want you to be optimistic about your future. I want you to open your mind. I want you to get comfortable like we're your big sisters. And that's what this channel is about, So whenever you get time, get on my YouTube channel and go ahead and subscribe. I want you to like it. I want you to share. All it's about is giving a gold nugget of knowledge. I don't know it all, nor do I claim to know it all. Nothing like that. All this is just to inspire, to initiate conversation, so that it will make you more hungry, to get motivated, to have ambition, to want to get a higher education, and to not look like the person next to you. Don't you ever settle because you're scared to be different. It's a beautiful thing to be different. You ain't got to look like everybody else. So we're going to take a couple minutes and enjoy the music. All right? How you feeling, Miss Sharday?
The same.
You have a good day today?
I did.
Yeah.
Long, but it's
What it consist of?
good. Clinicals.
Clinicals?
Yes.
Looking like a doctor in that
No.
white jacket.
It's
Yeah.
like
In your
an
future?
instructor.
An
No,
instructor?
not in my future. No. Not getting to the doctorate level.
No.
It's too much.
I feel you. It's not for everybody.
It's not, and I'm not one of them. But I will support anyone going down that route.
Yeah. I hear you on that. That's one thing. My brain, I'm honest with myself. I know that that's not what I'm called.
Okay.
I sit there, I'll talk to the doctor and tell them what's going on, and I can't even think of what to do next.
Yeah. Understandable.
How many views are there?
4.
Okay, well, we'll get started. All right, hello you guys, how you doing? My name is Brittany Finch. I'm your favorite nurse. This is my new YouTube channel, so if you could please subscribe, like, and share. Also comment. You can share your ideas, maybe different people you would like me to interview. I can't wait to continue doing this just to I want to get people excited to want to know what's going on in the community, to want to do better, especially in our African American community. I just feel like we can always strive to go to another level, and if we're getting there, then you should be helping the person next to you also get there and give them encouragement. So anyways, today I will be interviewing Sharday Kelly. That's Mrs. Kelly, because Mrs. Kelly just got married. How do you feel about that, Mrs. Kelly?
It's definitely different, but it's a good feeling.
Good feeling?
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So why? Why did I choose Mrs. Kelly? Honestly, I'm going to be honest, and I don't ever want anyone to get offended, but this is my channel, so I'm going to go ahead and say exactly how I feel about my life and what I've been going through. People who know me know I'm pretty transparent. So I met Mrs. Kelly whenever I first graduated from college, and everyone knows I pretty much had a kind of like a rough background and a little rough around the edges, and I graduated from UE, got my bachelor's degree as a nurse, and then I went straight into ICU. Why did I go to ICU? Honestly, to prove people, I want to show people that I could really make it. I want to prove to myself, actually, I think that I was that smart. But come to find out, I needed a little bit more experience. I needed more experience. Well, I would find myself, I got into that where they say the nurse eats their young.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I met that lion nurse, and as I grew up, I was a fighter. But I knew if I wanted to keep my license, I couldn't fight her in the professional world. I can't act like that. So I just cried. I didn't know what else to do. Why I would watch Sharday, and you were really professional. I felt like she was really well spoken. I felt like since I grew up more in the streets, I used a lot of slang. Kind of was boisterous, obnoxious, and when I watched you, you were very elegant. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I just felt like I didn't fit in with a lot of the Caucasian nurses, and I just felt like you were just a natural at it. And I wanted to be like you. I wanted to kind of walk, talk, and you just sounded very intelligent because I learned, go ahead. I learned that when it comes to terminology, that it's not about how smart you are. Sometimes it's the type of household you grow up in. The terms that they use will determine how broad your terminology is.
Okay.
And anyways, I had to start educating myself and studying terms, looking up terms, because I didn't know what most of them educated people were even saying. But that's why I wanted to interview you, and that's what led me to start watching you and was inspired by you. So anyway, tell us who you are, what type of education background you have, and what you do right now.
Thanks. Oh my goodness. I am Sharday. I have been a nurse, and this coming May will make 8 years. Gosh, that's a long time. I have a
You've
bachelor's.
been a nurse for 8 years already?
Yeah, this coming May. It seems like yesterday I just graduated. Let's see, my background, I have a bachelor's in just a bachelor's of science with a focus in health administration. And then I have my bachelor's in nursing. I just recently got my master's of nursing with a focus of nursing education.
Is it a master's? Okay.
And
a master's.
Plan at all. Definitely did not see myself getting a master's degree. I was considered done after that bachelor's degree. And then trying to plant their seed that I needed to go further. They recognized that I had a gift for teaching when I just felt like I was just showing them the ways to be a nurse, when it came to precepting students or new hires. And so I just listened to that, prayed about it, and did the degree, finished it, and here I am basically today. So I do teach full-time at Henderson Community College in the nursing department. I teach second semester nursing. We're an associate's degree program. So I specifically teach Med-Surg 1. It's taught with my cohort, Miss Kaylin Mackey, who I love to death. She has taught me a lot about being an instructor. It is harder than what it looks. And I'm definitely
I think it looks pretty hard.
learning how to do it. And I still work at the bedside in ICU where we met. I work PRN, so about once or twice a month.
Okay.
And I like still being clinical, and I like teaching. So I like the mixture of the two right now.
I feel like ICU nurses are the bread and butter. I mean, you have to know so much to be an ICU nurse.
I started off in Med-Surg, and I feel like that's what gave me my ground. You have to know the norms, which is what school teaches you. Med-Surg gives you a good taste of the abnorms. And then in ICU, they're at their worst level. So we have to fix it quickly, or we know the inevitable happens.
Right.
And I think that's what I like about ICU. It's that adrenaline rush. It's knowing that I can take someone who was on the ventilator and life support, and then hopefully with medicines and good collaborative work, we can bring them back and they walk out discharged. So I like seeing both ends of the spectrum.
Right, and ICU is intensive care unit.
Yes.
And then we're talking about medical surgical. Can you kind of paint a picture of what medical surgical nurses are? Because I'm renal medical.
So Med-Surg sees any and everything. That's going to be people who come in with belly aches and the stomach bug, or we can have the flu and pneumonia, or people who have chronic lung issues, chronic bronchitis, and they can have the surgeries, the post-knees, the post-appendectomies, those gruesome type things. They can come in with an infected toe. I mean, the list goes on. They can have an abscessed tooth, was what we had today in clinical.
Oh, wow.
It's just a wide range of any and everything. You can have some renal patients like you see. I mean, you get a taste of it all. So you kind of have to know all of your body systems because you can get anything that can affect those.
Right. When did you know you wanted to be a nurse?
So I guess it's different now, but when I was in middle school, they made you fill out this white folder. I still remember, and it's some kind of occupational thing. You had to answer these questions, and it told you the path you should go. And I thought, I'm going to be a doctor, and I wanted to deliver babies.
Oh.
And then I talked to the guidance counselor about it, and she told me that was like 15 more years of school outside of when you graduate, and I was like, that's not my calling. So I thought about a nurse practitioner, like that worked in the health department. I'm like, oh, I could do that and educate on STDs and pregnancies and give shots. I can probably do that. And then, to get there, you have to be a nurse first. And then I became a nurse, and then I fell in love with it and was like, nope, I'm done. I don't need to go any further. Nurse practitioner is more school, and I'm done with school. So this is where my end point is.
Right.
And then that wasn't. So I say now that teaching is my end point, but I have given thoughts of going back again to get a postmaster's certificate and family nurse practitioner, because at some point I am going to not want to be at the bedside anymore.
Why do you say that?
Well, I feel like I'm saying I'm getting old, but I'm not. I've done ICU now for 3 years.
That's impressive.
And I like it. I like the patient ratio to nurse.
You better believe it, because what's med-surg patient ratio?
I went from when I started as a nurse having 5 to 6 patients to now I have 2, sometimes 3, sometimes just 1, and that's nice. I don't know. I see a lot, and I got to see a lot during my master's program of what a nurse practitioner does. That's always made me nervous. I don't want to be responsible for diagnosing somebody because I don't know. I mean, I can guess as a nurse and be wrong because I'm not responsible for that. But, the thought of that's me they're coming to see still makes me hesitant. Am I really ready for that? Have I seen enough? Have I had enough experience under my belt to say, okay, now I'm ready to take the next step? And so that's kind of where I'm at. I just started teaching and I like what I do. Do I want to venture off and add something else, or do I need to enjoy what I'm doing right now? So I'm debating on it. But if I were to go any further, it's not that doctorate degree you mentioned earlier. It is definitely would be that route of going to the FNP certificate, which is about another year and a half of school.
That's not long.
It's not, but it is when you have kids.
How many kids do you have?
3 if I include my stepchild, which I do. I have 2 of my own, and they're busy. And I honestly tell my students, I tell anybody, I had Kendrick's in the middle of my master's program.
So you were in your master's and pregnant.
Yeah.
And you got through it successfully.
Yeah.
And that's impressive.
That is. And he's 1, and I feel like I don't remember him being an infant. I see pictures, and I'm like, oh my God, like, where did the time go? It's not because they grow up so fast, but it was because, I mentally was focused on finishing school. And that's what's sad. I hate that. I did it. I mean, he's young and won't ever know, but I know it. And that's something that I struggled with. I missed the first years of his life. And yeah, you hold them and feed them, and they sleep the whole time, but I missed that time. Like, I don't feel like maybe I cuddled him enough or snuggled him enough, because now he's a busybody running everywhere.
Right.
And so I want to snuggle him, and he don't want to snuggle all the time. So that was a hard struggle for me to cope with, and I still think about it on and off now, especially if do I want to take another year out and further my education and be away from my kids mentally. One's in middle school, and he's still innocent-minded, and I'm grateful for that. But at some point, he's going to grow up. So do I take a year out while those developing stages are happening? Kavion is in elementary school. And
you got young ones.
He is super into school, and I love his spirit. But do I want to check out and let him do him and me focus on school and then finish? I don't want to do that either.
I think we're scared. Like me, I think I'm scared. I'm in the same predicament. Like, I have my bachelor's, I want my master's as a psych MP, but I don't want to take away more years because I already did 8 years with my kids.
Right.
I don't want to take out 3 more years, but then people say to me, yeah, but if you wait, you may never go back, and that's what I don't want. I don't want to wait and not go back, but then again, I don't want to take away another 3.
Right. It's a hard decision. You know, I was a nurse 6 years before I decided to go back.
I think that's very smart because you got your experience.
That came from a nurse practitioner's advice to me in my very first stages. She's like, get your experience first and then go back. A lot of people go straight through it, and that's fine and dandy if that works for you, but you don't have the experience under your belt to know what you're diagnosing. And that makes sense to me. And then, you know, my teachers did say, don't get pregnant while you're in master's school. And lo and behold, what happens? But, you know, life happens sometimes. And sometimes I like a challenge. You know, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to decide. But is it doable? Yeah. But you have to weigh out your benefits and risk. And do you take the chance and do it? And then in the end, you can make up for lost time? Or do you really wait? You know, clinical hours is a huge thing for an NP program. That is my drawback. You know, I've looked at different programs, all of them online, and the least amount of number is 600 hours.
Wow.
Well, that's in addition to me working and class time and homework, and that's a lot of time. So can I do that? Yes, but do I want to do that?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So that's my struggle. You know, right now I'm in a position where I don't have to go right back to school. I can continue working at the bedside and I can continue teaching, and it's fine. But I do have it on my mind. Do I want to take the time and do it now, or do I want to wait?
Right. And I understand that. And I want to take it back because I don't want this to be all jumbled up. Take it back to you whenever you were younger. And when I told you that I looked up to your elegance, how were you raised? Do you say that's part of how you were raised, why you were so elegant, why?
It's funny because I don't know that I'm elegant. I just, you know, that golden rule you learn in elementary school, and like nobody in society now knows it, about treat others how you want to be treated. I feel like we've gotten away from that, but I remember that being embedded, and so that's honestly what I follow. In the workplace, it's hard. You don't get along with everybody just like you didn't in school. In middle school, there was always drama. But, I mean, when you're older, you don't have to live for that drama anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to set your own self aside. It's all about you and what you want. And I have a family, so I have to watch how I act because, like, you were looking up to me and I had no idea. So you never know who's watching. And I don't want to portray an image that will turn someone away from wanting to pursue nursing, or that will turn someone away from not talking to me. You know, I try to be an open person, an approachable person, and that's just kind of how I live, type of a thing. I try to be that way with my students. You know, it's an open door policy. I tell them all the time, you know, if you just want to come in here and vent, that's fine. I don't have to say anything. If you want to come in here, cry because you're frustrated, yell, shut the door, and then that's fine, and then you can walk out and I won't say anything.
Right.
You know? But if you need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with me, then let's do it. And I will tell you what I know, and what I don't know, I'll try to find you help for. And they have done that. You know, I have students that have come in and cried and ranted, and I understand. I've been that student, you know, so I understand what you're going through. It is hard. And then I've had some that come and vent about their personal life because it does affect their student life, and I get that too. And that's what I'm here for. You know, I'm not just an instructor. I would like to be your mentor. You know, I would like to help guide you as best as I can.
Well, since you're in this place, can you paint for the audience what a nursing student looks like? Because I think people are shocked when they become a nursing student how much dedication that it really takes when it comes to how many hours you can work. And then you were talking to me about how maybe nursing doesn't work out, that you could take other options at where you work.
Yeah.
You can just talk about that.
So, nursing is full-time. It is a full-time job. We tell our students up front it is Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4. I mean, literally, you can have class, lab, clinicals in that time frame. Some nursing schools have weekend clinicals, so there goes your Saturdays. You know, it depends on what sites we get and what times they give.
Right.
It is tests, it is studying, it is learning the body systems and the conditions that can happen to them. It's learning medications that we use to treat them. It is memorizing all of that, because in the end, you know, you are what's between your patient and the grave.
Right.
It's you that control the outcome. You know, the doctor prescribes, but you are their eyes and ears. You're with that patient 12 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours a day. They're with them 15 minutes. Yeah. So we're preparing you for the reality of it's all on you. You know, you have to know what you're doing. So no, nursing school by far is not easy. And I did not make straight A's in nursing school. Now, in grade school, yeah, I'll pat myself on the back. I did pretty well. But I got to college and in nursing school and had a huge shell shock. I failed my first nursing class. No, maybe my third. I failed pediatrics.
Okay.
And that was a shell shock for me. I failed something, and I've never had that before. But
so you're a nurse now, and you actually failed something in. So you had to keep it pushing, and you did make it eventually.
Yeah, I couldn't give up. You know, that wasn't end all just because I failed. It was hurtful. I think it hurt my pride more than anything.
Right.
But I went from high school, I never studied, didn't have to, was blessed with a gift that I just knew it. And then you're in college, and it's not the same. It's harder. It took more time. I didn't know how to study. Didn't know it was important to really study. And then here I am trying to take a test that I really probably didn't prepare for.
Right.
And then, of course, you hit your 20s and you're 21, and it's cool to go out and hang out and party and turn up, as everybody says, and get lit. And then you have a test the next day, and you're like, oh, about that. Didn't even study. Okay. So I know it took me falling on my butt and sitting out an entire year. That led me to my first degree. You know, my advisor, this many classes, and you would have this degree, and then you can come back and finish nursing. And I was like, okay.
Right.
And I did it. And then I came back, and then I finished nursing. So it's really, I'm not a, success story of it was all great for me. No, I literally can tell you I've fell to the bottom, but I had to push through. You know,
right.
I was determined to be a nurse. So whatever it takes, let's do it. Get me there. Teach me how to study. It took me reaching out to one of my instructors and saying, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Obviously, I can't party every weekend. Okay. But I was also working. And so, okay, well, maybe I can't work full-time hours anymore. What can I work? What is feasible? Because I do have to have insurance. So
yeah,
I at least need to be part-time for insurance. And she told me. And I did it. It was hard, but I made it.
That's what, because I worked part-time. I gave up my apartment, moved into my grandma's basement.
Yeah.
And then my kids' playground was a library.
Yeah. And I still lived at home, too. So that helped. I didn't have to pay rent, so I was only working to keep the insurance component. Right. So least as possible. You know, the luxuries of getting your nails done every week and that cell phone and having the newest outfits. Okay, well, maybe I can't for right now.
Not now.
So, I learned that the hard way again, but I got there.
Your future self was going to thank you of your present self.
Yeah, I didn't know that then, but I see it now.
Right. And it's beautiful. And it's beautiful because you're a minority. So yeah. Were you, at your college, were you one of the only black students there?
I think there was 4 or 5 of us.
That's a lot, actually.
But we were a class of 90, so when you think of it that way, maybe not. Okay. But I didn't really look at it as I'm like one of the only few black people in here either. I know a lot of people say that a lot. You know, that gets referenced a lot, gets asked a lot. Yeah, in this area, nursing is predominantly a Caucasian field. It is. But if you go outside of here, go southern, or go like Detroit, you're probably not going to have that same ratio. So I can't say that nursing is a predominantly any kind of ethnic field because it is so rare.
Right.
You know, it's a multitude of cultures. It just depends on where you are.
Yeah.
The stigma I've always heard is, you gotta be smart to be a nurse. Well, I mean, you've got to study to be a nurse. I'm not saying you have to be an A student, because I wasn't. But do you want a nurse taking care of you that has no clue what they're doing either?
Or you're saying you'll become smarter.
You will. You know, you put in the time, and what you get out of it is what you put in, which is what I tell my students. If you come into this thinking, I'm not going to study, I'm not going to go to tutoring, I'm not going to come to the instructor and ask for more help, then you're probably not going to be successful. But if you put in those hours and you do seek out tutoring and you do come into us and talk, hey, I really didn't get that in class, I've tried reading the book, it doesn't make sense, help me, then you probably will be successful. Will you make an A? Not always. But will you pass? Yeah.
And let's be honest, just because you get an A doesn't mean you don't know it either.
No.
Because sometimes you have to study how to take a test as well in nursing.
It's not your true-false type questions anymore. It's
critical.
All of these are right. Which one is best?
Right.
And that's hard. You know, my students right now are like, they hate when we ask those questions, but you have to know because that's what you're going to see in the clinical field. You know, all of these interventions are right, but what's the best one for that patient?
Right.
Everybody's treated differently. So, you know, C equals RN. That was me.
C equals degree.
It does. It will get you there. And that's what it takes. And then you pass your boards, which is what you need to get your license.
Your NCLEX.
And that is something I don't want to ever take again. I feel sorry for the students that have to take it.
Yeah, that was horrible.
That is a horrible exam.
Mine took 5 hours. I got the most questions, like how many was it?
Oh my God, 265 questions.
Yeah.
No, I definitely was lucky. I was 8 months pregnant taking that exam, and I got the minimum of 75.
God bless you.
I did. I took that in 2.5 hours and was crying my head off because I thought I failed. But
me too.
I passed, and I will never do that again.
You told me this story of how, and the reason why I harp on the African American, because when I graduated, especially from UE, from my community, because I'm from here, they acted as if it was a huge deal. Because a lot of people, and where I grew up from, a lot of them are dead now, or they're in prison, or they have a lot of kids, and now it's hard for them to go back to school. And I was one of the ones that made it and got a degree. And now that they're still fighting for that, and I'm praying for them because I want them to keep pushing it, to never ever give up, and to make it through, because it's hard to have these children and being in poverty, and that's what a lot of our African Americans go through here.
Yeah.
So you're telling me a story of how you were talking to this one girl who was African American, and she was settling for being a CNA, I think you said.
So she was signing up. She's already a CNA. She was taking like her basics. But she wanted to sign up for the LPN program, which is a licensed practical nurse.
And they usually, around here, they pass a lot of medications.
Yeah.
And in nursing homes, they actually work side by side, don't they, with nurses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't have that program at Henderson anymore. We recently just closed it.
Okay.
I think Ivy Tech still has theirs. Maybe Madisonville still has theirs. So there's other schools that still have it, but we don't. But it still takes 2 years.
I thought it took 1.
It depends on the school. And
Okay.
It depends on the degree you want to end up with. So 1 to 2 years. But that's what she wanted to do because she couldn't be an RN. Well, who said that? And she's
Who
like,
told you that?
I'm not smart enough. Well, I mean, an LPN is still a nurse. So if you're smart enough to be that nurse, what makes you think that you're not smart enough to be the registered nurse? You know, you take some of the same classes that registered nurses do. And she didn't realize that. She was like, oh, I don't know. You know, all she knows is that it's easy, so she's heard, and that's what she wanted to do. But don't sell yourself short.
No.
You know, give yourself a challenge. I think that if you're going to apply yourself to be the LPN, apply yourself a little bit more and be the RN. And that was my advice to her. You only need this much more classes. Oh. You know, you only need this much higher of an ACT score. You know, when that program was open, I think the score was like 18 or 19 for your ACT for an LPN. And for the RN, we say 20 or better. So 2 more points. Don't sell yourself short. You know, that's a couple more questions. And when we talked about that, she had no idea. She was just going off hearsay. No, ask me. This is the time. You know, let me tell you what it really does require. And she left out with her mind changed. So,
y'all know I got kids, so my son's coming in. I'm sorry, and I ain't getting paid for this, so sorry for the unprofessionalism.
I know, right?
All right, it's filming right now, so all right, you guys be quiet. All right.
No, it's fine. So, I mean, I think it's all about what you want out of this. I definitely think don't just settle for being a CNA if you see yourself going further. There's definitely nothing wrong with being a CNA. Everybody starts there. You know, I think that you need to be a CNA, a patient care tech, before you become a nurse. You've got to see what it's like to take care of somebody. You can't just walk in off the street and say, let me be a nurse, and you've never known what it is to take care of somebody. It's hard.
And it's important to me, we'll start from the bottom, to understand how to accept delegation. Because I feel like in our community, I feel like it's hard for an African-American woman sometimes to tell another African-American CNA, delegate them something and they'll just take it.
Yeah.
And even with nurses telling each other what to do, it's like we're like, who are you to tell me? Well, when that doctor tells you, you better listen. And you better, you know, you don't get to argue. But what I'm saying is, it's good to start as a CNA and accept those roles.
Yeah.
Because can you paint the picture kind of like how if you're passing meds, someone needs to be changed.
Yeah.
You can't do both.
You can't. And sometimes that was hard. I mean, as a nurse in general, just not in African Americans, but as a nurse, that was hard. I used to be that tech. So for me to ask a tech, knowing how we felt towards the nurses until I reached the other side and then truly understand why they were asking us to do all of that. You know, taking care of 5 patients at one time who all have 8 o'clock meds, it's kind of hard. So yeah, they do need help turning them. They do need help taking them to the bathroom. They do need help making sure she's eating. They can't do it all. And so it takes a team to take care of patients. You know, in any setting you're in, it's all about teamwork. And that was something that was hard to learn. And then when I crossed to the nursing side, it was hard for me to ask the tech to do that because I know how we felt as I was on the other side of that. So learning how to delegate is extremely hard.
It is hard because I don't think I like anybody telling me what to do either still.
No,
so
it's hard, you know. And sometimes, you know, when our nursing buddies are like, can you go do that? I'm like, ugh. But you do it. But then you're like, oh, I realized, you know, I'm done with my patient assignment and she still needs help. I mean, but we all still have those moments where we're like, what? But in reality, again, it's that team-based concept. And, you know, you do have to get over yourself. You know,
do. Because at the end of the day, we need
each other. You know, otherwise you're going to sink.
And if I'm telling you, if that tag, if you don't have her, it's not, your day will be hell on earth.
If you don't have a good rapport from your support system, which is that tech or CNA, you will be drowning all day long.
Yeah.
You will not be able to keep up, and patients are going to not be taken care of.
So we're all important.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Housekeeping is important. You got to have toilet paper. You do have to have clean floors. You know, you have to have laundry. You got to have clean washcloths. You got to have dietary. You got to eat.
Yeah.
You know, it takes everybody. Our TVs have to work, right, and our phones, so you got to have maintenance there. The computers have to work because that's where we document everything. So you need IT. I mean, everybody has an important role when it comes to taking care of these patients. Nobody is more important than the other.
No, not at all. And another thing is, when it came to, do you think it's important to see more women of color taking these charge roles? Because when I'm here, I don't see a lot of African-American charge nurses. I don't see them in administration. But now that I'm a travel nurse, I see, like, literally Africans that are charge nurses. I see Mexican women that are charge nurses. And I just sit in awe of them because I just love seeing people that look like me. Because I'm at that point where I'm like, I can't be a charge nurse. I don't feel like I have the experience to be able to do that yet. But now when I see people who look like me, it gives me, like, I can do this one day. And it's not because, oh, her skin matches mine. I don't know. It just does something to me when I see, because here I don't see it. And I was raised here.
My boss right now is really big on diversity. And so she wants to recruit more Latinos, more Mexicans, more African Americans, more males in general
I
into
would love
nursing.
to see more of them.
And I'm like, oh, but I know the stigma right now is that if it's a male, then, you know, they have this little feminism in them.
Oh, not true.
And it's totally not. If there is a male on my floor as a nurse that day, he is helping me pull up every single patient. I'm sorry, but it's different. He has a different strength. He has a different aurora that he brings to the floor. You know, when you have those patients that are confused and hitting you, you bring a male in there and it sets the tone way different.
Yeah.
And so they don't know how valuable they are in nursing right now. But I like her vision in nursing. So, yeah, I would like to see more men. I would like to see more colors in nursing because I think that we have colors in this country.
Yeah.
So the profession needs to reflect what we're treating.
Well, I see a lot of African American CNAs. So
Yeah.
I want to see more African American nurses.
Yeah.
And I love the charge nurse. He's a male on my floor, and he's always like, meh. Like, if anything happens crazy, the women are always like, just hold on.
Yeah.
Give me a second. He's like, nah, we'll just go ahead and,
It
seems like
it's
they
different.
have that.
Yeah, it is way different for them. So I definitely would like to see more people get into this field. Definitely more people of color. But I don't want them going in here thinking that they have to stop at the bottom. I don't want them thinking that it's easy neither. You are going to have to work a little bit for this. You are going to have to balance your time. It may mean you work every weekend because you're in school through the week, you know. And I definitely think it is a doable thing because I've done it.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't do it perfectly. I didn't do it straight out of high school. You know, I had my stumbles and fumbles and bumbles and life's hard lessons because, yeah, I did have some rebellious ways too. But at the end of the day, I made what I wanted. You know, I made it to my destination, and anybody can do it too.
Okay, and one more thing. Whenever I changed, right, or whenever I became a nurse, a lot of my friends said, why, even to this day, why do you sound different? You're acting different. And I'm thinking, well, I can't talk to the doctors like I used to talk to y'all. Or, you know, when you are a nurse and you work a lot, that's your new life.
Yes.
And you do start to change into what you look like. And some people think that when you change, it's fake. Can you kind of talk about how change is not always fake? It's not always bad.
No.
Change is good. Progression.
Yeah. That is Kavion, who has called me 25 times because I'm not there at 4:05. Kids. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so you have your professional voice, and then you have your everyday voice. I have a voice that I can turn on and turn off.
Okay.
I can be professional. You said you were in the streets. Yeah, I can blend with the hood and say slang stuff too. But nursing is not turned off and on anymore. You know, once you become a nurse, that is your life. That's why we're bound to the Good Samaritan law. If we pass by an accident and there's no one there, you know, and someone sees us, we're held liable because we didn't help them. I mean, it is truly what you live. And again, it goes back to when I said you never know who's watching you. So I don't want to be the nurse that they look up to in the classroom because I've taught them something well, and then they see me at Walmart and I have used every kind of profanity language and I could, you know, then that's going to distort their image of, is she true and why am I listening to her? You know, that's not the image that I want. Now, do I get mad and cuss? Yeah. I mean, I'm a Christian too, and I'm sorry, Lord, and I do ask for forgiveness afterwards. But yeah, I do say some bad words from time to time when I'm angry. But, I mean, I'm human. I'm not perfect. But do I say it all the time? No. You know, am I going to say it in the classroom? No. Do I hear it? Yeah. But, I mean, you can't go to the doctor and be like, look, I need an order for so-and-so to get this medication because she's getting on my nerves right now. Because he's probably going to say some choice words to you, you know. But if I approach him and he's like, you know, Mrs. So-and-so is really having a hard time right now coping. You know, I really feel like she would benefit from this. Okay, well then he's probably going to respect your opinion a little bit better. So it's all about your approach and how they perceive you.
Yeah, and if a coworker does say something rude or snobby to you, I think it's just so important to try to continue to be yourself, because it's like once you come back on them and you're negative or rude, it's like you feel bad at the end of the day that you because people are going through something outside of here.
Yes.
Usually don't even have anything to do with you.
Right.
You may think it's your color. You may think it's something, whatever. But it could be that something at home is going wrong and they're taking it out on you, the indirect anger.
Yeah. And that happens a lot too. And there's times where, you know, I have been upset by a coworker and I'd be like, girl, for real, if outside of here, and then I'm just kidding. But it feels good to say, I would have done, and I'm really not going to. I reacted the way I'm probably going to for real. Because, again, you don't know what somebody else is going through. And maybe nursing has changed my thought process too. I don't know where that anger's coming from. That can't just be directed towards me. That's something else I'm getting. And maybe that's for the better. And maybe sometimes it's good to step back and think about how you're going to react and not always give a reaction. Some situations, silence is the best, you know.
Well, not only that, let's not act like you don't have a lot to lose.
Right. You know, I can't be fighting in the streets. I can't be shooting guns like everybody likes to do now. That's going to ruin my future. And I have kids to think about. So, no, I can't put myself in an environment that's going around. One, I think it's silly and pointless, so I don't want to. And two, I could lose my license, and I've worked way too hard for that. So I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that neither. But does that mean I'm never going to defend myself? No. You know, if I have to, I have to. And then if I have to face the consequences of, you know, appealing or standing before somebody to defend myself, I will.
Well, you serve a big God, honey. And that, I think he'll take care of a lot of your problems, okay? He says that he'll make the enemies bow down, okay? I don't think you'll have those problems. You made it too far, in my opinion.
Well, thanks. I think it's just about yourself, you know, and that it's the same as I was a tech, it's the same as now I'm a nurse, and now I'm an instructor. You know, I'm mindful of what I post on social media. Social media, the delete button does not make it always go away. And I think when people realize that, they will be mindful of what they post. So, no, I can't be posting stuff where we're drunk, passed out, and all kinds of stuff is going on. For one, I don't want my kids to ever see that, and I would never do that. But just saying, you know, just hypothetically speaking. And I don't want a future employer to go through and a memory pop up and I share it on Facebook and it's me with vomit everywhere. You know, I mean, it's all, you never know who's looking and who's watching you. And it's about what image do you want people to remember you by? You know, when I leave this earth, do I want somebody to say, she is a really good-hearted person, she worked really hard, she wanted people to be nurses, or, girl, she was fake and phony and blah, 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 blah. She stayed in the clubs and then was in the church singing hymns. You know, I don't know. I just want people to remember me for who I really am. And so that's how I try to walk every day. I'm just me.
Right. And the statistics part, real quick. You feel like you beat the statistics. Why?
Because research, since I'm an instructor, I'll put the big word in there.
Research
shows, well, I don't. But anyhow, research shows that African Americans in general have a low marriage rate. You know, we are mostly single moms, single dads, with multiple children, yada, 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 yada. That is kind of the stereotypical look of us. For me and my own self, no, I don't always want to be the one with the white picket fence. I know that that always doesn't happen. But do I want to be married, or did I want to be married? Yeah, I do want to provide a two-parent household because I didn't grow up in a two-parent household. So I wanted to grow up in one and provide my kids with one. And I feel like that I have been blessed to have found a mate to provide that same vision, who also didn't grow up in the same type of household. So, yeah, I'm statistically not there. Now, hoping that this marriage stays forever as it should. You know, I don't want to be the statistic that gets divorced neither. So, just because I made it to that step doesn't mean that there's a step that we can't conquer, and I can still end up a statistic too.
But you're stepping in the right direction.
Yeah, in the right direction.
Whole life.
Yeah, and you know, that's all I'm doing. I'm not a goody-goody. I'm not perfect. I am just literally walking in the path that I chose to walk for myself with God's guidance. And I think you asked me about that too, about I was involved in the community and with the youth and through church. And I grew up in the church. I can't tell you that I understood everything as I was growing up in the church. and I'm just now realizing the things that I heard in the church way back when. So I think it comes with maturity. And yeah, when you met me, I was really involved in church. I think at that time I was really involved on the youth team. I taught weekly Bible study, vacation Bible school coordinator. I was over the teen ministry. I was in a missionary circle. I mean, I was really fully committed. But when I got pregnant and started school, I had to take a step back. And I have yet to step back in, because this new role I'm still getting used to as an instructor takes way more than that 8 to 4:30 that they advertise Monday through Friday. It's weekends, it's after hours, it's before hours of commitment. And until I can get a handle on how to balance life and 3 kids,
And your husband.
and my husband, yeah, balancing him is probably the huge act. But the kids are in tutoring, and they're in basketball, and they're in all this stuff. And so trying to mix that in with, I still have papers to grade, and there's care plans, and oh my gosh, I got to write a lecture, and I've got to talk about this, and did I read that? All of that is just way overwhelming right now. So I haven't been fully involved as I should be, or as I was, but I will get back there.
Yeah.
I still do things in the community. I look forward to our annual trunk or treat in Henderson. That's a huge joint community thing that we took from the church to some community organizations and made it really big for the city in itself. So I look forward to that. I know that's coming in October. And, church, I may not attend every Sunday. Again, life happens. Kids are sick. It's a horrible time right now. I feel like every Sunday somebody's got something going on. But that doesn't mean my relationship with God changed. I still keep him first. We still talk every day. And I say we because I know that he answers, and I may not always listen. I may still want to do my own thing, but again, I'm human. And I still have him there. And I know that he is guiding where I'm supposed to go. And
Okay, so like I have goosebumps. You can see that, because I just feel like somebody out there needs to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to talk to a little girl who might give up and she don't think she can make it, or she's not smart enough, and just let them know, how do you feel about that? And maybe she wants to be a nurse. Maybe that's her next breakthrough. Maybe she's on poverty, on welfare.
Yeah. One of my sayings is, she believed she could, so she did. That was my inspiration to get where I am. It's tattooed on the inner thing of my arm as my reminder of that's why I got here. And it also goes with Psalms 46:5, which is, God is within her and she will not fall. I didn't fall because he's been with me. Now, I'm not saying I haven't went through storms. I haven't hit rock bottom on things. I have. But that's part of his journey for me. There's a lesson in everything. And you can't get a message without going through some mess. And that's one of the hardest things I had to learn as I got older and accept, was this was all in God's plan. And, there are some people who don't believe in that, and that's fine. But you have to believe in yourself first. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then who else is going to believe in you? And that is what I tell my students. If you believe in you, and I believe in you, then who's to stop what we're going to conquer? And that's the truth. If you believe in you and I believe in you, then the world is endless. The sky is the limit.
I think you're walking in your purpose, Mrs. Kelly.
Oh boy. I hope. Hopefully it's an inspiration to somebody. I definitely posted before you went live that this is out of my comfort zone, because I don't like tooting my own horn. And it was out of my comfort zone when you called to even say that you thought I was an inspiration to the community, because I'm just me. And I'm just doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing, and if this is my calling and this is going to help someone, then hey, I'm glad to do it.
I just want to take a moment and just say that you are beautiful. You're very beautiful. You are smart. You inspired me, and I know that you're going to inspire someone else. Be like you. I want my master's one day. I want to be a wife one day. And I know that, and if we really want to be wives, maybe we need to start acting like that type of material before we even can think about being a wife.
Yeah.
As well, And when I look at you, I just know the sky is the limit. So I appreciate you for being just you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so God bless you and your family, and I love
Thank
you.
I love you too. Now we got to end this before we all have tears running down our face and makeup and everything else.
All right, I got 3 people. I told y'all I've been my check has been, it ain't been short. I just ain't been wanting to pay y'all, but I'm going to. I said I was gonna call on 3 people, and I promise she randomly did this. The 3 people that you picked that subscribe. I said when I hit 100 subscribers, I'll do 3 more, and y'all get some type of gift certificate from me when I have the extra money.
All right, so we got Keith Bell, Becky Mason.
Becky Mason's my aunt. I did not choose that.
No, you didn't. And Ariana, what was her last name?
Morales.
Morales.
She's my cousin. All right, we love you. Thank you for watching, and peace.